welcome to While We Weren't Recording. Today we are While We Weren't No Topic.
Who needs an intro for this? Come on. So
Andreas does, because it's the only thing he's going to say the whole episode.
I think we made it through Beverly Hills Ninja. We tried 3 ninjas. I don't know if we made it all the way through that. So therefore we're not ready for, Karate Kid. The kids aren't ready. I mean, obviously I've seen all of these movies more than once, but yeah. Let alone getting to Cobra Kai.
And then after that, Bloodsport, because that's the next.
I mean, it could be, right? That's probably how it worked for me, but I'd probably ease them into the Jackie Chan movies, So.
Bloodsport was the thing that I started with, like, alongside Alien.
Yeah.
But you had no parental supervision.
Yeah.
I was given it by my parents. It was like, no, we're eating dinner now.
Like I said, no parental supervision.
Yeah.
We're doing things. You go watch Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You go watch whatever we have on VHS.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, $3 at Blockbuster. None of this $20 for a digital rental bullshit that we've got these days. That's right. I'm going to be the old guy this podcast. So
I actually saw a meme yesterday that was like, you will never understand the bond between a millennial and that one random mediocre movie you had on VHS tape. I think that's pretty
The Star Wars trilogy is a national treasure. What mediocre movie?
And that wasn't the random mediocre.
I think they made something more like Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if we want to say like Land Before Time, maybe.
How dare.
I know it's
mediocre.
We said mediocre, not excellent, not absolute peak.
Not cherished child. That's like saying American Tail is mediocre. What's wrong?
That is probably one of the first things that traumatized me as a child was the mom dying so early on in Land Before Time.
Oh, come on. Every Disney movie follows that just because these were done.
They were not nearly as bad to me. The dinosaur mom dying hurt quite a lot.
I think I had already seen Bambi by then. So yeah, it was just like
Bambi never did anything. That entirely flew over me as a thing, as a traumatizing thing.
I was going to say, like, I don't remember being traumatized by it, but I will also extend the fact that I don't think I've seen it more than like once or twice. Yeah, so it might have been maybe because of my brother, because he was even more sensitive than I was at times. But yeah, like,
my intro to Disney movies were stuff like Lion King, Aladdin. These were the ones coming out at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I distinctly remember the first one I definitely got to see in movie theaters when it was brand new was Hercules. Like that was like we went into the city. I think it was even an IMAX or a mini IMAX at the time.
Oh wow!
And got our little booster seat things because we were small. So
little guys. So
listen, I think that was 1997. I would have been, maybe I didn't have a booster. I was 9 years old.
Yeah, 8 years old. Younger than me, but then we're just, I think, the same age. Yeah, same age.
And then but all those older ones were on VHS. Bambi, Snow White, Pinocchio. These were easy things that were always on.
My mom's mom had like the whole collection for what it was worth at the time. Those really thick plastic cases.
Yeah, that's what we had. The ones that you could, and then you would hit each other with them because that's what we did with our
Yeah,
because they were thick enough you could do that. But that was always the before it goes back in the vault, get the special edition. It's like you lying sacks of shit.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we didn't personally play that game, but grandma, she liked to have the kids over, and that kept us mostly entertained and everything. Yeah,
we used to come with toys too, like Happy Meals.
Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we watched Robin Hood on repeat. That was always we're going to grandma's house, so we're going to start with Robin Hood and see where it goes from there, So
with the snake from the Jungle Book in it randomly for no reason.
Right.
It's like, why are you here?
I can't believe they cast the same snake. Like,
I mean,
so that's why the snake's there.
Yeah, I'm just glad he's getting work. It's good to see him.
Robin Hood was a strangely like consistent one that we watched a lot.
It's just fun,
It is.
And it's pretty well done. So.
Fantasia was another one, but different reasons.
That one wasn't as good.
I mean, but that's because it's mostly, other than the Sorcerer's Apprentice, a lot of it is just classical music played to visuals that kids may appreciate, but they're not really going to get the general meaning of or anything. It's that one seems like it's more like so that parents can listen in the background and not want to blow their heads off.
And then the kids have something to watch so that they don't blow their heads off.
Right. And it's cartoons and it's music and who cares?
Yep.
And you can bounce around when the buckets come on because you're a 5-year-old with underdeveloped brain cells and you think that's cool. And then you can do it again when you're 25 and you're high because you've got undeveloped brain cells and you think it's cool. I did do that once in college when I visited a friend. We got high and we watched Fantasia and we fell asleep. I mean, it was a good nap, don't get me wrong, but but we did not like experience any sort of mind-bending thing watching Fantasia high. It was just nope, nap time.
The director apparently missed this section of her childhood, and she's just thinking about all the time
she was watching Bloodsport.
Bloodsport, exactly.
She's a little closer to my brother's age. She's like, well, she's in between. But like, I remember a conversation with my brother when we were younger. He's 10 years younger than me, so I was 16, I guess, and he was 6 or 7. And I was talking with my dad about VHS tapes, and he was like, "What's a VHS?" Because he's only had DVD, and I was just like,
wild
man. There's only 10 years between us, but he had no concept of like a VHS.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. That'll be a fun episode when you get there for Cowboy Bebop. So they use beta tapes because the time frame between when Earth was there and then they spread across the whole solar system is like 100 years, and so like that becomes a plot point. But yeah, it's kind of funny.
Betamax tapes, or
yeah, I mean they did in the show anyway. So I didn't know about Betamax until like high school, I think, and then they had to bring something out of storage, and they were like, "Look, we know it's old." So it was Betamax was one, and like Laserdisc, and they were like, "It's old, but the science is sound, and this is what we got." It was like, holy shit! I didn't even know Laserdisc was a thing. It's like a gigantic CD, So just kind of funny.
We had some of those.
Minus Tech Tips do some of the old that never caught on home media stuff. They also tried to do movies on vinyl.
Oh wow,
which was like wild.
I could see why they would try it because it's the technology on hand or whatever. But like, I can't imagine they got very far with that.
Blade Runner is on almost every format. They always do Blade Runner, the original, and there was full Blade Runner movie on the vinyl. From what I remember, though, the quality on it had gone down immensely. Like, the vinyl was not very good at keeping the movie on there. It was very grainy.
I mean, that makes sense.
But it's very...
they had a couple of the big laser discs when I was in elementary school, because I distinctly remember it was the first time I ever saw... I can't remember who wrote the original, because it was a short story that they made into like a little film of those kids on Mars, and there's one day every year or 10 years where the sun comes out and everything blooms.
Venus.
Thank you. And so they shot that like back in the 60s or 70s and whatever it was. But
it might have been Asimov that wrote that. I'm not sure, but I remember having to read that in school.
But we watched that. It's like a 20-minute short or whatever it is, and it was depressing. But I remember that distinctly because of the big laser disc. And then I never saw it again, and I thought I dreamed it until about a year ago when it randomly popped up on a Reddit thread. I was like, holy fuck, I haven't seen this since I was 7.
It was real.
It was real.
Yeah. Looks like it was Ray Bradbury.
That was what I was going to say. It was
one of those big name.
Yeah.
All Summer in a Day or whatever.
Yep. All Summer in a Day. Yeah. So... And The Joys of the Internet, you can probably watch it. I'm assuming 1982.
Oh, it's on YouTube now.
Yeah. So.
At least that's where I watched it. Yeah. It's a very depressing little short thing if you want to, have some feels.
Well, depressing hard sci-fi, you got to take that sometimes too with your...
Well, I don't know how hard it is if you live on a place where it's raining and cloudy all the time and then one day of sun for a couple of hours and everything blooms instantly. That's a little.
That's almost here.
It's a little confusing.
Right. Yeah.
He just recreated Scandinavia on Venus.
Except the one day, change that out with a couple of months of the year. That's pretty much here.
Gotta imagine Venus is a bit warmer, though, even in the fictional, science fiction Venus that can sustain life.
Potentially.
Yeah,
I would imagine so.
Those are some of my favorites, though, is like the older sci-fi where it's like, it's green. That must mean it's lush and covered with jungles, right? So yeah. Totes, my dude. So there's aliens on every planet.
We went to the Tomb Raider planet. What are you talking about? This makes sense.
Yeah.
Or the Jungle Book planet.
Yep.
Or Endor. Not to be fair, Endor was a moon.
I really need to watch Endor.
You do?
Yeah, I haven't seen.
Okay, but I said Endor.
Or two.
Yeah.
I made me think.
It's like one letter. So.
It's an important letter. Differentiates between a whole bunch of things. Because now he's going to go watch that Ewok adventure thing on a laser disc.
Yeah, don't do that. So
no, you should absolutely do that because
that reminds me of something I thought was like something I imagined, that Ewok cartoon as well. Like,
no, this wasn't a cartoon. This is live action.
I was like, is this the one with?
And I didn't think that was real. I just remember seeing it as a kid, and then it came up on Reddit at some point. Like, where I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, it is real." I remember this. They had like a magic red crystal something. I was like, really, I don't know. I thought that was very interesting when I was.
That might have just been the Power Rangers movie.
Yeah. No, it was animated Ewoks.
I mean, they did a couple of those, and they were a hit for a bunch of kids. But yeah, I mean, Wilford Brimley, come on, go watch the live action Ewoks movie. So, Battle for Endor. So, yeah, with the
like
little
Escape
girl,
to Witch Mountain,
right?
where you're following a bunch of kids around for no reason. Like, why are we here?
Sure,
there's no lightsabers.
But they're alien kids, though, right? So that makes it.
No,
different.
they were humans.
Were they?
Well, I'm talking about Endor, not Witch Mountain.
Oh,
I don't remember the original Witch Mountain, which is another thing I saw maybe one time when I was 5 or 6 years old, and never again.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if those kids were alien. I know they were supposed to be aliens in the one that The Rock did 10, 15 years ago, I think.
Right.
There's like 3 of them, right? So there's the original, then there's one.
Yeah, there's probably a Return to Witch Mountain, because that was always what the sequel was called. It was Return to this place.
Because I think I've seen the one that was between the one with The Rock and the original.
That one might be a fever dream of yours when you were sick or something. That one might not be real.
I think it is.
But it probably is, because I'm sure Return to Witch Mountain is definitely a movie. Now that I'm saying it. And if it's not, it's going to have become one in the last 10 seconds since I manifested it.
You haven't watched... I don't know. So talking about this, thinking about them being aliens, whatever, got me on the like alien abduction movie kick. And apparently I'm behind. They actually have made some in the last couple of years. But I was like, if you want something intense, you can go watch, Close Encounters is good, right? Family fun, but like Fourth Kind or something like that. So
was that the sequel?
Yeah. Totally.
Close
I think that's what they wanted
kind.
you to believe, but it's way worse than that. So,
I don't think I never did see the original Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was always E.T. when I was growing up, which was okay, but I was never particularly thrilled with E.T. I was always a Star Wars person, so E.T. to me was like, oh, you just don't own Star Wars, so I have to watch this now. And
I'm pretty sure I saw E.T. before Star Wars.
And I wasn't also a fan of Reese's Pieces, so that's 0 for 2.
I'm not sure if I've seen E.T. all the way through. I've seen pieces of it, but I never cared enough to actually try.
I don't think you have to experience either of these, quite honestly.
Okay.
I mean, you made it this far in life, and you're...
Yeah, it's like I get the gist of it. It's probably on at various points, but I just like...
he phones home. Yeah, big deal. That was there was another movie I never actually got to watch the end of it, but I can't remember what it was now. that I never went back to and never felt compelled to go back to. But I don't know. That definitely happened for the sequel. All right, so the Fantastic Four movie back when they made them for Fox, with Chris Evans and all that. And the second one, we went to see it in the theaters, and the concession stand caught fire, the popcorn machine. So we had to leave about, I want to say 20 minutes into the film, like right after the Silver Surfer shows up for the first time. And I've never seen that movie since then. So all that movie is to me now is a movie I was not really caring about in the first place, and I got to see a popcorn machine literally bursting into flames as I walked out of the theater. It's my entire experience with that.
I totally forgot about the Silver Surfer movie, honestly. So,
So did everybody else because nobody went to see it.
I did not remember there was a dedicated Silver Surfer movie.
Well, I mean, he's in it. It's a Fantastic Four movie. It's a sequel, but
the second Fantastic Four. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, the second one because Lawrence Fishburne is the Silver Surfer, and Galactus is a fucking cloud.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I do remember the cloud.
You know what? It's actually it's too bad. Like the movies were so bad because like in terms of the Fantastic Four, like the actors, they were pretty well cast. The Thing was excellent, Johnny Storm excellent, but he became Captain America instead. Sue Storm was good. Mr. Fantastic's the only one I don't really remember. What?
He didn't become Captain America instead so much as those movies happened, and then 10 years later they decided, okay, we need a Captain America.
Yeah, so he became Captain America instead.
No, it's not instead. He still was Johnny Storm.
Yeah, I know, but then he became...
And then they brought him back for Deadpool and Wolverine specifically to make people happy. Which it did.
I saw that one coming when he came down. I was like, that's not Captain America, that's Johnny Storm. That's not Captain America's outfit under there, I can tell.
That's not America's ass.
That's not America's ass.
Oh. Well then. I don't know. Maybe I should go rewatch this just for the trauma or something. I mean,
I was going to say, are you just rewatching the second Fantastic Four movie right now?
Yeah,
stream it, put it up.
I'm looking at IMDb is what I was looking at, and Lawrence Fishburne did the voice. Like they had,
it was CGI
crap. Yeah, no, they had Doug Jones do the mocap for it. I'm guessing, and like the cast, and I was like, holy crap! Like Andre Braugher's in this, and.
The cast is
Michael Chiklis is the Thing. Like the casting was pretty good, right? It's just unfortunately the writing wasn't, as much as anything.
Feels familiar.
Starting to get there, but yeah.
I was going to say casting has very much rarely been the issue for Marvel.
Sure.
For the first time in this entire phase of Marvel, a movie has been well received.
Which
Thunderbolts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Thunderbolts was tolerable. Still stupid, but it was tolerable.
Yeah, it's probably doing so well because it's probably doing so well because it's on the heels of Captain America. So it's like, unfortunately, that one did not hit the beats that they were trying to go for and everything. So yeah, I feel like
the guy, the fellow, is it Anthony Mackie?
Yeah.
Doesn't even. I don't know. I'm tired of him or something. It's just I'm not vibing with when he's the same with the what was that sci-fi show we watched where he took over? Justin
Carbon.
Yeah.
He's with him. I don't know.
He's not my favorite in Altered Carbon, but that's one of the worst. I don't know. That's one of the worst places that I received his acting anyway. It was just like I feel like he was just trying to do something that he himself isn't entirely there for and whatever. He's fine as Falcon, he's fine as Captain America in my opinion. I didn't have problems with him or his performance in that, but just the rest of the story and everything wasn't there, so
I never had a problem with him per se. I don't know. It's just I kind of liked him as Falcon even at the beginning, but then he's just I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is. He's not done anything wrong, particularly. It's just I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just they were trying to hit some story beats, and I feel like they were trying to shoehorn in a story that didn't need to be shoehorned in. Was just a lot of it, right? You could tell that they kind of tried to go back to their phase 1/2 formula of like, we'll do dual genres and it's not just a superhero flick and whatever. Like, this is more going to be like a like a spy thriller or whatever. That really worked for
we did that with Winter Soldier. I don't think you can outdo that, because that was just stellar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Winter Soldier, despite being a spy flick, they really also leaned into the fact that these are superheroes and a supervillain fighting and everything like that, right? And so you don't really get the same thing, But
yeah, but Superman's coming. Yay.
Yeah.
It's not Henry Cavill, but I gotta say the trailer I watched, it doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good.
Yes, it does.
It's
way too busy. There's far too much shit going on in that movie. Yeah. They're making the same mistake.
Fair. That's actually fair.
James Gunn is a really good director, so he's got the benefit of the doubt right now. But yeah, I don't know why it's a Superman movie with the entire Justice League in it. That's a step too far, in my opinion. So I'm hoping the pacing and everything's going to make sense and whatnot. Him getting his ass kicked and all of that stuff, great, fine, whatever. But it's like, yeah, like we got the fucking dog. We've got literally at least half of the Justice League, let alone the founding members in it. Just so much stuff going on. And so I'm almost hoping for it to be a misdirect.
If you want to start the MCU for DC again, you need to stop trying to do it all at once and build up to it and do several movies. They keep trying to just be like, okay, here's one movie and introduce everything.
So they did the same thing with Black Adam. For some reason, they had B-list Justice League members in that. The introduction of like Hawkman and Dr. Fate, and you're like, these are guys you can make a movie out of if you really want to. You don't have to just shoehorn them into a movie no one gives a shit about.
And I feel like Pierce Brosnan was like a really good Dr. Fate as well.
Yeah, oh well. You'll never see him again.
Yeah. That's the one that, that really bugs me with some of these movies is when they're basically going to wind up throwing it away, or you can tell at some point it's like it's just not gelling or whatever, but they totally burned up some actor or character that it's like, oh man, it would have been amazing if you had done that right, and they could have had their own standalone thing. Like, I don't know that the wider populace is into Dr. Fate enough to realize it, but it's like if you had Pierce Brosnan, like, that would be enough of a pull.
DC side, like, it's quite cool
to
me.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't think by itself, if it depends on how you advertise it, right? If you're like, come see the Dr. Fate movie, then yeah, no one's going to show up for that, right? In comparison. But if you were able to build the hype and get people to go, and you're like, hey, we got a really good actor to play this who really believes in the script and the story,
Well, it's not like, the Constantine show wasn't great, but they had a really good actor for it, and people enjoyed it for what it was. You could, it's not like DC has nothing as far as the mystical side goes. You could make a decent Zatanna show or movie. Dr. Fate. These are not, dead characters. You can do stuff with it.
I feel like DC has a stronger mystical lore universe side to their superhero.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to beat Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider for me. Like, you make good stuff out of those two.
They have Constantine, and it's just so good.
Yeah, Constantine's fine, but that's just because we like a snarky wizard already. We're pretty
sure. He's like a blood cousin to Dresden, if nothing else. But yeah, like, I remember some of my Justice League, like the Justice League Unlimited stuff and like the animated stuff. The magical episodes were some of my favorites, right? Yeah. Like, obviously you love the core group and love Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, etc. But like, that didn't mean that when they pivoted to the magical side of things that you weren't hooked, and it was still very interesting. And so, yeah, I think the challenge would be marketing it right. And I think there's been a lot of that where it's like these days marketing teams are like, they're going to come see it anyway, so we're going to show them the cool stuff, or no one's going to see this anyway, so we're going to spoil it for you. But like, they don't know how to market something that is so niche, right? Like, I mean, you could even go back to John Carter of Mars, right? Like, that's a classic fuck up of marketing departments. Like, they dropped Of Mars out of it, right? So nobody knows what the fuck John Carter's going to be about or anything like that. I mean, it's been a while for that movie, so maybe it's not fresh on everybody's mind, but
I never watched it, but I've actually heard it's way better than what it got. Like, it kind of bombed, right? Yeah. And then I just didn't really watch it.
But it bombed because they didn't market it, basically, right? Or it didn't know how to market it, right? Like, it's actually a pretty good movie. It's campy in a way, like The Mummy, or adventure movies like that, right? Where it's like you got The Mummy or Tarzan or something. Like, it's very much in that that kind of genre. But yeah, like, nobody went to go see it because nobody knew what the fuck the movie was about or who was in it or anything.
Oh wait, is this John Carter?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's like,
I was gonna say,
if marketing departments do a good job, yeah. So yeah, it's like you could do the same thing with DC. I just don't know if they'd be up for it. So could make some pretty kick-ass stories. But like, the part of the problem with DC, I feel like, whether it's movies or the cartoons or really even the comics, is that they really only have like 3 stories, right? And it's kind of the same thing with Marvel up until 2008, which was, okay, which version of Spider-Man do you want to watch? Because we can only tell the same story for some reason. We've got Batman 4 or 5 times. We've got Superman 4 or 5 times. We have, Crisis on Infinite Earths for the 53rd time, shit like that. You've got Flashpoint, obviously, and whatever. But it's like, yeah, bros, there are more stories than just these ones. But because these are the ones that bring in the most audience and therefore the most money, we're just going to go try and catch that lightning in a bottle again. So a lot of these heroes, like the Justice League, it's not like they started DC with that, right? They had all of these heroes, a lot of them as standalones before they ever teamed up. It's like, go further back, go back to the well. And that was one thing that surprised me about Pattinson's Batman, right? Was that they really were doing like a year 1 Batman type of thing.
He's baby Batman.
Yeah,
he hasn't figured everything out yet.
Right. Yeah. It was like, him getting one pulled over on him, was like, oh, you didn't figure that out? How disappointing. It was like,
he fucked up the landing. And that was like my favorite part of the movie. It's like, he wasn't bad. I mean, he was still doing Batman things, but it's like, no, you do get to see him get hurt. You do get to see him fuck up. And like, he's on the learning curve, and it's a very sharp, painful learning curve.
Right.
I enjoyed the movie. It was maybe a tad too long, I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
But
my enjoyment of the movie dropped significantly when Riddler was no longer the big bad. But
what? Because of the like post scene?
Because he goes into it's when Riddler gets caught and he's
okay.
And then it's just about like the flood, and then it's a disaster, and it became a disaster movie for half an hour. It's just like,
sure. Yeah,
it was no longer the psychological noir that it had been.
Right. Well, in a detective movie, frankly, right? It was like, that was the thing. Like, which of the other Batman movies have you looked at, like, since Keaton, right, where it was like he did very much of any kind of discovery? It's like, even the 90s ones, it's like, yes, a riddle, I bet you this is the answer, and like, we're gonna go right to his evil lair and fight him, and
the Schumacher ones are, they're cartoony, they're campy, they're very very weird and bizarre. They have a charm to them, but they're not detectives.
Sure.
They're like, I know what the answer is immediately.
Yeah. But Batman's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, and so while he's also a badass fighter and hits above his weight class and stuff like that, it's been a real long time since we've even teased the idea that he's a detective. Because I won't
Dark
give
Knight
too much.
Did it a little bit.
Dark Knight pretended to do it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's really
halfway
kind of glosses over the whole detective thing.
There is nothing about taking that bullet out of that brick and scanning 3 of them that made me think detective. Sorry.
Sure.
Like,
well, and that's
he's
the thing,
doing
because
stuff.
It's like, I would say Batman Returns, right? And he's got to figure out the whole thing with the Penguin, like, is close. It's got the elements, right? But it's like, it's still not, that's not the focus, right? It's still very much always been like his gadgets, his fighting, he can take out 50 dudes while being shot at by Mr. Freeze, just whatever. Pick a movie, right? Like, it's fun to pick on those ones because they are campy and fun, but yeah, like, it very much could have leaned into the character more, right? And that was what was nice and fresh about Pattinson's thing. That, and he just wasn't terrible at it. It's like, you're like, yeah. When I saw the casting, like, really, you're gonna make me see this? And then
I was pretty sure it was going to work. Maybe because I had seen the Lighthouse and other weird shit he's done. So it was like, I'm sure.
It came at the right time to be like, oh, he's not Edward Cullen, because he had done other things.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. Did you guys watch Penguin? Because that was really good.
I did.
I have not yet, but it's like on the list of things to watch. It got a lot of glowing talk. So
no, it was worth it. It was a good, short, easy, nice, solid story that has really nothing to do with Batman at all. Which is, by rights, it shouldn't work, but it does.
No, it was a really good crime mob story that was set in a city that happened to be named Gotham.
Sure. And that, I mean, that's what it looks like, so in a weird way, it's simultaneously like my excuse for not watching it and the total reason why you should go watch it, if you're into that sort of thing. So it's like on the heels. Right.
In the movie, I could not tell it was Colin Farrell. Not until I saw it after. I had no idea. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, he doesn't usually do stuff like that in the same way that Gary Oldman does, where you sometimes have to blink and be like, oh wait, yeah, that's Gary Oldman.
Right.
But he can clearly do it. So
and Colin's a
it's the kind of thing that these
after I've seen most of that Sugar show and some of the other things he's been he was kind of typecast for a while, but he's kind of he really got some acting chops.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot. I mean, Hemsworth is the same thing. Like, people didn't think he could be good until you saw he has good comedic timing and he can do other things. And it's like, oh, he's an actor.
Right. Yeah, like, he's just a jock. Give him a surfboard, or whatever. And it's like, no, actually, like, I mean, Cabin in the Woods, right? That's great for it.
That was the
they do kind of like, they lean into it, and yet, he's still smart, but then they give you plot reasons why the archetypes work and everything like that.
Funny. Yeah, because they even make the comment. It's like, you study astrophysics or whatever it was, because like they're all brainy people. Yeah. He just happens to also be fit, and then because of what they're doing.
You're an astrophysicist. Why are you talking like this or something? Like that?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Still, one of my favorite lines from that movie is when he's got the textbooks and it's like, "Where did you get these? Who taught you to do this?" I learned it from watching you. So it's a great throwback anyway. So sorry, Joss Whedon. So the director hates it and everybody should hate it right now. So
I wanted to like that movie way more than I wanted to be open-minded and enjoy the movie. And it just still grated on me.
I will say, I think it's one of those movies, at least for me, that it's really, really good the first time, and then the subsequent rewatch, because you're looking for things. But it's like, I'm not just going to sit down one day and say, oh, Cabin in the Woods is on, I'm going to watch it. In the same way I will other things that I've seen a million times. And it's not even that if it was on and there was nothing else, I wouldn't. But I'm never going to probably go out of my way again unless somebody's never seen it before and they want to.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't watch it back to back or anything like that, but when it's been a couple of years in between, it's fun to go do the Easter egg hunt thing again.
Can't believe it. We never got a sequel. There's like an post-apocalyptic movie about what happened afterwards, that when the giants came up and everything.
Well, I think that kind of defeats the purpose.
Exactly.
Of the meta.
That wasn't the point of the movie. So
it would have been cool to see.
Sure.
Why?
I mean,
why would it have been cool to see? All these sequels are terrible.
I don't know. The mythos compelled me. So I wanted to see more in that world.
Right. In a similar vein, right? It's like you want to know how they beat the, the Titans in the first place and whatever, right? It's like if you put the dark gods in the bottle, how did that happen? In the first place, that you then fucked it up untold thousands of years later and whatever. But again, not the point of the movie, right? But it does raise some of those compelling questions. So
high fructose corn syrup would be the answer. Because again, that plays into the meta.
Right.
You'd have to have drugged them somehow. It is the TV, the opiate of the masses type thing. We do need a decent... It's been a while since there's been anything Lovecrafty out there. That was good anyway, that I can think of.
I remember this last Halloween being like really disappointed in what I could get my hands on overall. Like there have been a couple of good things in the last few years, but nothing was good enough, or like it was a follow on to something else that was better, in a way where it's like, oh yeah, the director of Hereditary did Midsommar. I'm like, yeah.
That's the thing. It seems like the kind of thing these days that someone like A24 could tackle or even Blumhouse, if you want the really like taking a chance version of it. That does the horror for not too much money, but I say A24 because they're generally probably going to be slightly higher quality.
Right.
I just watched Heretic from them. That was pretty decent.
Yeah, I still need to watch that. I think that had just come out and I hadn't gotten around to it yet, but yeah.
But you come out with one type of Lovecraft, you do one story about corner hounds one year and you do one about the sleeper another year.
Sure.
Every once in a while pop out something, see what it is. And then you can make it an interconnected Lovecraftian Avengers movie.
Then you got your team up movie. The Justice League of, Azathoth.
No, Constantine
wakes up and eats everybody. So
Constantine's got to go deal with it. You just borrow the rights.
Because there's another shared universe that's totally been working, which is the movie Monster, shared universe.
They tried and they tried hard and they've
tried a couple times. So yeah.
Well, the two I remember most distinctly were
he worked. It was the only thing of that movie that worked.
No, he didn't. Stop. There was nothing of that movie that worked. Stop. And the fact that it was Russell Crowe. Stop.
No, yeah, I don't think I've seen any of them, honestly. Like they just
the only two I remember were they started with Dracula when they started with Luke Evans as Dracula Untold, and that movie was kind of like eh. I mean, it was funny, but it was eh.
That movie was weird. That movie didn't know what it was.
Correct, and not in the charming way that Van Helsing knew what it was, but was also weird. And had every monster in it, but Van Helsing's great and Dracula Untold is not. But then they follow that up with, I think it was just then The Mummy, and everyone's like, oh, are they rebooting? And no, they're not rebooting what you think it is. They're just making Tom Cruise in a terrible Mummy movie. And then nothing else because they killed the dark universe. They put their carts so far before the horse.
There was a werewolf movie like 10 to 15 years ago. Benicio del Toro, was that part of the same universe?
I don't think so, but it was him and Anthony Hopkins, right? Because I've seen exactly 5 minutes of that movie and nothing.
I don't remember if Anthony Hopkins was in it. I've seen it back then, but I don't remember. I was like,
I'm pretty sure Anthony Hopkins was like the sire one.
Holy crap.
Like he was the werewolf first, and then passed it to Benicio del Toro type thing. I think.
There were 5 of them. Oh, that's interesting. So according to the Dark Universe Universal Monsters Fandom Wiki, there are 5 of them. The Mummy in 2017, The Invisible Man, Renfield.
Oh, that counted.
Abigail and Wolfman, which I've actually been waiting to mention Abigail because I was like, one of the movies in the last few years that I would recommend out of horror, Abigail was one of them. So
what is that?
Oh, I can't spoil it for you, but like you're going to figure out the movie in the first like 20 or 30 minutes anyway, but then it does kind of make like a 90-degree turn towards the end as well, in my opinion. But basically, like, I think the synopsis is like, so Abigail is like, a little girl studying ballerina, and then a crew tries to kidnap her.
It is one of the best movies.
I do remember
I've
the
seen
synopsis for this
in a
movie.
while. It was so good.
Yes, I do remember this movie. I didn't
You
see
really-
it.
you
I know
really-
what happens.
You really should go into it not knowing what it is, but it's going to take you about 20 minutes to put together what's happening. You know, and you should just keep watching it. You know, it's one of those that it's like, even if you think you've figured it out, there's going to be differences and there's going to be pushing and stuff like that. So
these all count towards the Dark Universe, that the Invisible Man with
to the wiki,
with what's her face from a couple of years ago.
I don't remember an
Handmaid's Tale.
Invisible Man
I'm
movie.
blanking on her name. Handmaid's Tale actress.
Yeah, it was
Elizabeth
in
something.
2020
Moss.
with
Elizabeth Moss. Yeah,
As well.
that was.
Oh, was that in the Dark Universe?
I guess if that's
apparently.
what the wiki is saying.
I've seen
Because I thought it was just Dracula Untold and the Mummy, and then they had one, or maybe the Wolfman movie, and then they were like,
I guess
"Nah, we're
that
done."
counted. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
okay.
and I mean, there are 2 times as many canceled movies to add to this list. So
Well, I was gonna say,
that's
there-
how that's going.
There is still, I think, a Frankenstein movie coming out next year from.
Frankenstein says it's canceled. So
No, not yet, but not from them. It's why am I Guillermo? I think Guillermo del Toro is making a Frankenstein movie.
Okay,
if
now that
I'm
sounds interesting.
Remembering correctly.
That's gonna be good.
okay, so there's a 2025 one coming, maybe.
No,
And you are correct on the director. They've got like shots from it up and everything. So
Huzzah. Yeah, that could be interesting. I never got
Oscar
around to seeing
Isaac.
Nosferatu. I don't know if it was any good.
I
Obviously,
liked
that's
it. My husband hated it.
different.
So
yeah,
Well, I kind of
Christoph Waltz. So
is
yeah.
in the Frankenstein movie.
Yeah.
That could be good. Is he Frankenstein?
No,
The actual Frankenstein, not the
Harlander.
monster.
is it- you
no.
know,
Oscar Isaac is Dr. Victor Frankenstein. So
no, that's an interesting choice.
yeah, I mean, love Oscar Isaac.
He can
Love
do
I was
anything.
gonna say Christoph Waltz has to
Yeah.
be the policeman with the eye
It's-
patch from
It says
Young
Harlander.
Frankenstein
so,
with the arm.
Yeah.
The German police officer.
Oh.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, the cast is pretty good. You know, like everybody on this list has either been amazing or you would recognize them for like the top 10 to 20. I don't recognize Mia Goth is the only exception, but
I recognize the name, but I can't picture her.
She's been popular in like horror slasher
She was-
movies in the past few years.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Maxine.
Like the new
She's at-
Scream Queen,
she's-
right?
Maxine, that's where you would recognize her if you've seen those movies.
Well, you say the
So-
newest, but the Scream Queens kind of have like 2-year turnover. Like they go pretty. Like there's a new one every 2 or 3 years.
It wasn't her I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of Jenna Ortega?
No,
Who
She
isn't
was one
thinking
for a
of Jenna
while.
Ortega?
it was.
Probably gay men or not would be my guess.
Possibly.
Although Wednesday probably had a lot of cross popularity, so maybe they are.
Right. I was like, goth gays, though. They're still thinking about her. So
It was Sophie Thatcher I was thinking of.
you say that like people are just supposed to know who that is.
She's an heretic.
Oh, okay.
Aren't we all? But yeah, I never bothered. Well, I shouldn't say I never bothered with Nosferatu. I wanted to see it, and then I never got the chance to, and then I forgot about it. But I found the Northmen to be just okay, so I wasn't in a rush.
Hmm.
You know,
I love the Northman, but I admit I am its exact target audience because I love the Norse sagas. So therefore, it just like it was perfect for me.
And then I very randomly watched the last voyage of the Demeter, which was the Dracula movie that came and went 2 or 3 years ago that nobody watched.
I watched
Yeah.
it and it was good.
It was okay.
I've heard good things about it. I just haven't been. We haven't hit that level of desperate, I guess, is the only way that I can say it. Where it's like sometimes you're like, I'm gonna roll the dice on this movie. I haven't rolled the
Yeah,
dice.
it was one of those. It was coming on at 2:00 on one of the HBO stations, and I was like, fuck it. I can kill an hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours 15, whatever it was.
I'll deliver if it has vampire in it. I'll check it out.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
It had vampires in it.
So does Blade 3. I'm not going to watch that again.
Yeah, no, that was funny. No, that's
it is funny, but I'd rather just watch Blade and Blade 2 if I'm going to bother.
No, it's got Parker Posey, and she's great. Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, but no. There's too
Ryan
much.
Reynolds playing Ryan Reynolds. The exact same character he plays and everything else.
I think that one also had Patton Oswalt.
No way, did it?
I think that was.
I was going to say he was probably their tech guy.
Yes,
he was probably their whistler.
Yeah,
I think he was their whistler.
Well, they had a whistler. She was fighting, but I know.
And I know you're talking about Jessica Biel too, but no.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Mercifully, I have not laid that at his feet as part of his career, because it's like, oh, come on, I like Patton Oswalt. Why is he in this movie?
Actually, I think I've heard him talk about it, of just how weird it was to try to make that movie, and basically Wesley Snipes would always hold himself up in his trailer, just reeking of pot the entire time, and he would refuse to talk to people except through sticky notes.
Nice.
He would.
Yeah.
I guess he just didn't want to be there. There was also this he was supposed to open his eyes for a scene, and he refused to do it, like laying on a slab, and he wouldn't open his eyes, and he refused to do it so much they gave up and CGI'd it in.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit! I do remember that. Yeah. It probably started out with It probably started out with him just being like, "This seems like a fun movie I should do," and then, then it was Blade 3.
Of all the movies with Dracula as a character in it, I think there are probably only actually 4 or 5 good ones, and the rest of them are mid to crap to campy to hilarious to most of them seem to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And all the ones that are good are either the original Dracula or the subsequent remakes with Christopher Lee and Frank Langella, and so just the original story.
I can't believe you're not going to put Dead and Loving It on this list. Come on.
I didn't name 5 movies yet. Also,
so there's still room.
So there's still room for Dead and Loving It, and there's room for
Hotel Transylvania.
Eddie Murphy's what was it, Vampire in Brooklyn? No. I think. I don't remember if he was Dracula, but I feel like that movie was probably funny. In a way.
I don't know if he was Dracula the character, but if nothing else, it was certainly a Dracula retelling. I think it followed.
For all I know, that movie was made at a time where he was Blackula. I have no idea.
Right. Yeah.
It easily could have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad when you're thinking about the top 5 Dracula movies, and then at least 2 comedies make the list. So that's the state of it.
And Van Helsing's on the list. I'm sorry.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because that's a comedy. That's everything. That movie's got everything you want in it.
I don't think that is a comedy, but it is funny. So
it is.
Not every movie that is funny is a comedy. So, but
if it makes me laugh, it is.
Yeah.
But in a good way, not makes me laugh because I'm like, oh my God, why am I here? That movie made me laugh, and I will still watch. I still own it on DVD. I will forever enjoy that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that since the last time we watched it, but
which is fine. It's not something I, go out of my. Again, I don't go out of my way, but that's one where it's like if it's on, and there's nothing going on, I'm like, yeah, sure, Van Helsing, why not? It's been a minute.
Right.
Still can't believe how much the guy who plays Dracula, he just went for it in that movie.
Right.
I mean, that must have been their first attempt at doing, or maybe not first, but one of the attempts of doing an inter-universe thing, because it's the same guy who did The Mummy. And so they do The Mummy Returns, actually do The Mummy, then they did Van Helsing, and then he did Mummy Returns, because you can see he pulled actors from Van Helsing into Mummy Returns. But why did it stop there? Why didn't they continue doing it back then?
Money. Didn't make enough money, I would guess.
Because The Mummy Returns wasn't that great, and then they started doing The Scorpion King, which also wasn't that great.
Yeah, the Mummy stuff made money up until The Scorpion King.
Right.
Yeah, Scorpion King was bad, but
I don't hate the Scorpion. I hate the Scorpion King and the way he looks in the second Mummy. The Scorpion King movie itself is it's just one of those generic mid-2000s bad movies, but not offensive.
It kind of acknowledged, it knew how bad it was, and it was just kind of a lighthearted thing. And then that spawns like 13 sequels.
Where you follow the Scorpion King back in time. Wasn't that the first WWE movie, like their movie studio? Wasn't that like the first one that they made?
It might have been. It was The Rock.
I think so. Yeah.
But that has spawned at least 5 other movies. There are at least 5 Scorpion King movies.
Yeah,
still.
I don't
like they kept going after that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that part.
I haven't seen a single one of them, but I know they kept going. That was funny to learn.
Yeah, I think I knew 4, but
I thought they got up to 5, but I could be wrong.
I mean, there is a 5th one in 2018.
So when's the 6th one coming out?
2020.
It'll be a reboot. So, Dave Bautista was in the 3rd one. Yeah, right.
Or no, I'm sorry, it'll star Roman Reigns because apparently he's the guy now.
What was the one with Jet Li in it then? Was that a Mummy? Yeah, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Oh god, I forgot about that one.
That was the Mummy movie where everyone's like, "What? Why? Wait, where's Rachel Weisz?
No, that thing needs to just
what happened?
Stop."
Yeah.
I never saw it.
I have also never seen that, but tragically, it pulls in a bunch of amazing cast. Luckily, they've still been acting since then, but
Well, that was the last Brendan Fraser thing for a while
there, but he back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, geez. I got to go back further than that because that movie came out in 2008.
Really?
Yeah.
Tomb of the Dragon Emperor? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. No, he did other movies since then. I mean, and before his comeback, he
did stuff, but it was just, it was one of those things where, like, because he was in
forgettable
a show for a minute or a couple of shows for a minute or two. That people seem to be like, oh yeah, it's nice to see Brendan Fraser again. How come he's not in more stuff? And then,
right,
then it was the big resurgence with things like The Whale.
The Whale was great.
I still haven't gotten around to actually watching it.
It's great. It's weird. It's as weird as the premise can be, but it's amazing.
It can't be weirder than Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was what's his face's comeback role, and that I saw.
Yeah. Is it weirder than the Mummy King Lord thing with Jet Li in it? So like, weird kind of defines his character, like his career.
I even put The Whale on, and then I saw the format that decided to show it in. And I was like, you know what? I'm not about this. I don't know why you do this, but I don't want to watch it then. The aspect ratio. They did went with the old aspect ratio that you used to make movies in.
That is a weird choice to stop watching a movie.
No, it's fucking annoying. I don't want these black bars on my good TV. I
was going to say, wasn't that the whole thing with the Snyder cut, and he wanted to pretend that he shot it in this?
Yeah,
thing,
and I
fucking definitely
hated the Snyder cut because of that.
Everybody should have hated the Snyder cut, but
I hate when they do that artsy. Fuck off. Let me use my whole TV.
Let me use my eyes. And he's already working with a handicap, so anything that changes it, it's like
yeah. As you might be able to tell, that makes me irrationally angry. I really hate it.
That's just confusing.
Why? Why is it confusing? What's?
Well, we got one person on this panel sometimes who only exclusively watches black and white movies, and we got one who can't watch a movie if it's in widescreen. We run the gamut here.
I don't know why it's confusing. It's just like
it's a very artificial barrier to put on yourself. It's just.
It annoys me. It's like I put it on and then it's like, oh great, this shit.
Yeah, I was catching up, but I'll side with Andreas enough to say that like that was a pretty hard preference when I was younger. Is like I didn't like widescreen. I don't need to see more of like the shit that's not in the frame. I want it to fit my television screen, so, yeah. But Yeah, but that was the only excuse that I ever heard that like held water was the whole. But you can see more of the room, and I'm like, Noah's over there. Like nothing's going on. I can see more of the shelf in the background. Like why is that better? You know, I could see Iron Man come on for 0.25 more seconds. You know, like,
consuming the media in the format as it was meant to be, it seems nice and coherent. And so if it was meant to be in that aspect ratio and not widescreen, then that was done intentionally, probably for reasons. Maybe it's really stupid. It could be, but judge it beyond the point. You have to consume it first to see it.
Old stuff that was made for that aspect ratio, it annoys me, but I get a pass because it was made for that aspect ratio. New stuff where they deliberately chose to do it for
Andreas,
whatever.
Did you refuse to watch Schindler's List because it was black and white?
I have never watched Schindler's List.
My point is
that's what she's asking you. Is it because it was in black and white, or is it because
your point?
Is it because you have no culture? Is it because you hate certain people? What is the deal?
Okay. How problematic are you, Andreas?
He's German. Of course, he didn't watch Schindler's List.
I could make a Kanye West joke here.
I wish you would, because of all the people on this panel, you are clearly the most representative of Kanye West.
Yeah, is it going to be funny? Because otherwise, don't bother.
It's going to get lost in translation.
Funny. I just never got around to it, and I heard it's kind of a downer, and I just never was in the mood to watch it.
You think?
Yeah.
That's another stupid reason not to watch movies. So there's plenty of good movies that are downers. So
yeah, I've watched plenty of movies that are like downers that I enjoyed. I never felt like putting it on. I was never in the mood for that one. I don't know. Maybe someday.
All right, we'll get Ben in here to suggest it, so we all have to watch it.
No, but he put on Grave of the Firefly for me, and I haven't emotionally recovered from that one.
That one was.
You got that. You got the boy in striped pajamas. You got Schindler's List. You got a lot of things.
And I felt bad for being angry at the kid, but still was angry at the stupid kid. Swallow your pride for your sister, man.
It's terrible when you expect humans to not be human, huh?
I was going to say, go watch Bridge to Terabithia. That's a real uplifting one.
Mm-hmm. We saw that one too, though, right? So.
I never did. I never read it and I never saw it. I just know all the memes about it.
I thought we watched that one for our thing, but maybe I was thinking a different one. Was I thinking Pan's Labyrinth?
Oh, so we definitely did that one.
Yeah. Okay.
I know because I saw it. It was only the second time I saw it because I hadn't watched it since I initially did. I enjoyed it the first time, but it was just one of those. Yeah, I'm probably not going to watch you again.
Be like, and we'll put you back in the case deep behind everything else on the bookshelf.
Some movies are like that. It's like you watch them. Okay, I saw it. Cool. Now I'm done. Don't ever need to watch you again. That was like The Brutalist, which I very much regret seeing, but I definitely never have to see it again. Yeah, there's an uplifting movie for you, Andreas. Go watch The Brutalist. You'll never get 3.5 hours of your life back.
You're not selling it.
Look, dude, it's the length of one of your podcasts. So, just don't listen to a podcast that day and
exactly
go watch the movie instead.
And instead go watch.
Not this one though. Listen to this podcast. So.
You probably also haven't seen The Pianist, which was the actual good Adrian Brody movie from way back when, allegedly.
I tried to watch that one, and I did stop halfway through. Somehow it felt like nothing was happening, and I did get that.
Oh, you should definitely watch The Brutalist then.
Sometimes there are movies where nothing is happening, and it's compelling still. Like to a certain extent.
No, that's what this one was. It got an Oscar nominated. You'll love it. It's great.
That doesn't sound anything.
So nothing happens and then everything happens everywhere all at once.
I wish.
It's the amount of it's the tone. It's the tone where I'm just like, I know this is gonna be a horrible experience.
Meanwhile, you got excited for the Superman trailer.
Yeah, dude, Crypto.
Yeah, right. the dog kicks his ass for like 30 seconds while he's already had his ass kicked. What's not to like? So
he's a dog. He doesn't understand.
Crypto's fucking smarter than that. I'm just saying. So
not in this movie.
Say he's an alien dog.
Apparently. Yeah.
Well, another news. What are we at? Oh, an hour.
In other news, we're done.
So I'll say I've been playing a lot of that Souls game that and so much that my brother bought me Elden Ring as an early birthday present because he figured I would like it.
Because it was on sale because it's been out for 5 years.
It wasn't on sale though.
Dude, that's harsh on his brother, man. Let him live his life. So,
but yeah, looking forward to trying Elden Ring. Well, what else you can look forward
DLC
to
at least?
next Saturday, where we're live again at 1 p.m. Eastern. And you can support us on patreon.com/brokenjars. If you do that, you get access to our Discord. When you get access to our Discord, you can talk with us with whatever you want or join our gift wars, or whatever floats your boat. Like, comment, subscribe, etc. See you next week.
Also, I have to point out, Jonathan, that Demon Possessed doll is Annabelle, not the one that he was talking about. Since Andreas went 2 episodes reading comments and then decided not to anymore.
Oh, actually, I forgot this time. Last time there wasn't anything. This time I forgot.
It's okay.
Sounds
I covered.
Like E.T. had it covered. My bad.
We're good.